Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Let's make it go. You guys ready?
No.
I'm like a puppy dog. I still have peanut butter in my mouth.
How is that like a puppy dog?
It's the way we lure OG to the microphone.
Put his medicine in the peanut butter.
Come here. Come over to the
You
microphone.
put peanut butter on the microphone.
Come on. Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Here, boy.
Here, boy.
Yes. And you can tell when it's crunchy peanut butter because that's when he gets all foul.
You know, with one of our dogs, with Sasha, she kind of knows there's medicine tucked in there. So now I have to, when she gets close, I have to stick my finger in and put it in the roof of her mouth. So she doesn't have a choice because she's like, I'm not falling for that again.
She's onto it. Someday OG will catch on.
Right.
But you know what everybody catches on to? The fact that we salute our troops every Monday. That's what we do here on the podcast. So raise your mug.
Raising my pineapple drink today.
Or your pineapple drink.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. He's got the new Navy Federal mug. Ooh, on behalf of the men and women at Navy Federal Credit Union.
Who sent OG a free mug. WTF. How come I don't have a cork-bottomed insulated
nice.
mug?
You got this too, right, Joe?
And yes, I did.
You woke up and chose violence this morning. That was so unnecessary.
On behalf of the men and women at Navy Federal Credit Union. Got to say it quick now. And the men and women making podcast in Mom's basement with or without the mug. Big salute to our troops. Thanks for keeping us safe. Let's go stack some Benjamins now this week, huh?
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. And you know those money problems you've been having? Well, what if I told you that it might be about something more than money? And what if I told you that today's mentor knows all about digging deeper into your money mindset? And what if I told you it was none other than the host of the More Money podcast, Jessica Moorhouse? And what if I told you that there was even more? Like my amazing trivia and fantastic headline? Are you kidding me? Wouldn't that be awesome? And what if I told you that it's now time to say hello to those two guys? Joe and OG, you'd be disappointed, right? I know you would. After that giant buildup and all you heard me finish with was Joe and OG again, you'd be like, oh man. Anyway, here they are.
That's the highlight. That is the highlight, Doug. Hey, everybody, welcome to the highlight of your week, the moment that I get to say hello to my good buddy, Doug, and my good friend across the card table, Mr. OG. How are you, man?
I guess I'm not a buddy, just a friend, but okay.
Is that like the new, just a friend? I'm just a buddy? I don't know. We got a great show, OG. Jessica Moorhouse is here.
I heard.
I know. What if Doug told us?
What if?
It could be absolutely super with Jessica Moorhouse, because seriously, you know, when you've been meeting with people for a long time, it seems like
highlight of my week.
The longer we talk about this, the more you realize it's not about the math. It's not about the dollars and cents. There's always something else going on.
La cabeza. Yes. It's always something going on.
Always something behind the scenes. What is that?
Insane in the membrane.
Jessica Moorhouse is going to be here.
So really, You guys are like psychologists with people's money. Is that what you're saying?
Psychos, yes.
Could stop right there. We got a great show. We've got the last week of January here. Can you guys believe this?
Are your goals 1/12 completed? We're 1/12 through the year.
Have you made it?
Sorry, I find that incredibly offensive when people post that stuff. You know, it's January 31st. Are your goals on track? Like, no, dude, I barely got out of bed so far this month.
It's still of the calendar. It's still like 6:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
We're just getting started.
Give me a second.
Oh, geez, like the master of the 2-minute offense. He's like,
in more ways than you know.
Hit me up the middle of June.
Yeah.
Hit me up the middle of June about my
Mrs.
goals.
OG agrees with that.
I'm good.
You're not on track for your goals by August? Call OG. He'll fix you.
We got a great show. Jessica Moorhouse is here. We've got a fantastic headline. Speaking of getting your goals and be 1/12 of the way there, how about some gamification? Let's talk about gamifying the goals. But before all that, we have a couple of sponsors that make sure this is free, so you don't have to pay for any of this goodness. So we're going to say hello to them. And then Jessica Moorhouse, host of the More Money podcast, and a woman who really has spent a lot of time interviewing people who like to think deeper about money and about what might be behind all those money problems that you're having. Jessica's got a great story of her own, by the way, that I know that she's going to share. So let's say hello to Jessica Moorhouse. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you. And I'm super happy she's coming down the stairs to the basement. Jessica Moorhouse is here. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here and chatting with you. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and I'm so happy that we finally get to catch up. You're somebody that every time I talk to you, I feel like I know you way better than I do.
Aw, that's nice.
It is nice, but that's all you. That is all you. I want to start here because I read like you read for your More Money podcast. I read a ton of opens to books. I read probably 50 personal finance books a year just for interviews and getting ready. Your book had the best note to a loved one at the beginning.
Yeah.
Of any book, because Jessica, it was so personal.
Yeah.
I felt like I was reading a line from a diary or something that was specifically to a person. I'm going to find it here because for some reason I don't have it open.
If you don't have it, I've got a book right here. Let me grab it.
Yeah. Do you remember though, why this message at the beginning of the book?
Okay. So I'm going to read it out and then I'll explain it. So it says, "To my loving husband, Josh, if it weren't for you, I don't know if I would have ever gone to therapy. I mean that as a compliment." To add that just so you know what I'm talking about. You didn't drive me to therapy. So I realized, I have to do a little dedication and write the acknowledgements no one, my publisher never asked me for them. So I'm not sure if I was supposed to hand those in while I gave my manuscript, but no one talked about it. I'm like, shouldn't I have those? So I was on vacation with my family in the summer, and we were taking the train back from Quebec City to Toronto. And while I was there, I'm like, oh, shoot, I should probably send them something. And so I just was on the train and just thought that was really, I showed it to my husband, like, are you cool with this? Is this funny? He's like, yeah, it's funny. And my parents like, oh, okay. Like they didn't quite get the humor. But so far everyone's like, oh my God, that's so funny. I'm like, it's true though. I don't think I would have been as open to therapy if he hadn't gone first, because you have to be very vulnerable and, don't care what people think to make that decision, because there's still a lot of stigma around it, unfortunately. And he, for the first time, went to see a therapist after his father passed away. And so he needed some help when he was dealing with his grief. And it showed me that it's okay to ask for help when you need help. And you can't do it all on your own. Like, we go to doctors and dentists and other professionals for help. Why are we not going to a professional when we need mental health help? And I don't know why it's still such a taboo, but it shouldn't be. And so I've gone to different therapists throughout my adulthood. It kind of started when we first moved to Toronto 11 years ago, and I was having a hard time adjusting to this new city and making new friends and stuff like that. But I really did a deep dive into therapy while writing this book, and it did a world of difference, but especially in terms of better understanding my relationship with money.
Which is wild, because we will go get help with our money. And you talk about this, there's your podcast, there's our podcast, there's tons of books already out there about how to do a tax-free savings account or a Roth IRA in America, right?
Yeah.
There's all these publications. You're on the news a lot talking about this stuff. And yet the thing that controls it all is our brain. And to your point, there's a huge stigma around that.
Huge. Yeah. We don't realize, and it didn't really hit me either, how important it is, what's going on in our mind, but also in our bodies, our emotions, everything that is not reasonable and logical, which most personal finance books or investing books are about. Just do this, this, and this, and then you will see results. And you're like, sure. But most people aren't doing that, even though they know better. Why is that? And that's what I really want to explore, is what are those, the hidden barriers between you and financial freedom? There's a lot going on inside.
Yeah, but even if we do it, even if we do that stuff, I like your bigger point. We still show up. And I'm still depressed. And guess what? Having more money or doing this saving didn't make me the happy person I thought I was going to be. Like, I still am the same, either miserable or happy person that I was. I never realized you and I had something else in common, which is, I was surprised to hear that you get depressed at New Year's.
Yeah. This is the one exception this year, because I had some exciting things going on. I hosted a New Year's Eve party. That was actually fun, kept my mind occupied. And then I had a book coming out. Since I can remember, I've always gotten really low on New Year's Day. And I think it started, I don't actually know when it started, but I started really recognizing it as a pattern back in 2022. I had to rewrite a proposal for this book, and I got COVID, and I had to spend Christmas at home with my husband instead of going to visit family. And we had to self-isolate because he didn't have COVID yet, and had a lot of time to think. And I got really, really low around that time, because I always feel like I could have done more looking back at what I did the previous year. And then there's also this realization that I'm like, I have to start all over again. I have to do it all over again.
You said something like you're a ninja at negative self-talk.
Oh my gosh. I'm better at it now. I try to practice. But yeah, the negative self-talk, the things that I would say to myself, I would never say to anyone outside of me. Never. Because they're just like, you're not good enough. You're not this enough. This is this. When you write it down, it was interesting when I was writing some of those thoughts down. I'm like, gosh, that's not healthy, is it? And I know it's not healthy. And why do we do it? And a lot of people do it. Because it's internal. We just don't really even recognize, I think, that we're doing it. And then the big impact it has on your whole entire life.
The reason why I was surprised by that is because I do that too. And New Year's is not my favorite holiday. Number one, we're coming off the whole holiday season, which I love.
Yeah.
You and I live in climates. Yours, it's colder than where it is here, but it's cold and it's darker. And I wish people left their lights on. By the way, let's get rid of the whole Christmas light thing and let's just make them winter lights. Go ahead and take your tree down, take
I
all that
keep
stuff.
my lights on all of
Good.
January, and everyone in the neighborhood does. It's weird. I don't know this neighborhood in particular. They keep their lights on for until like early February, and I keep my tree up the whole month of January.
I'm going to be your neighbor. I'm coming because everybody takes theirs down here where I am and in Texas. And I just think, why do we do that? Because it just January, February, just
it's so depressing.
Yes. So let's get some happy when we have less sun. You know, there's something to all that. But I get down to that's all coming to an end. And also facing the new year feels like a whole uphill challenge. And like you, I think about the stuff I didn't do, but I see your social media stuff. I see how your show's rocking. I see some of the cool things you do. I mean, the thing where you were trying to pay with all the different currencies a few years ago.
Oh gosh, yeah, you remember that? That was wild.
Was so cool. But you're doing all this
exhausting.
In my eyes, you're a badass. But it goes to show that
that's the highlight reel, right?
Yes.
No one knows what's going on inside. Or
Jessica Moorhouse I'm seeing on Instagram is not the real and we got to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah, we do. You generally, especially Instagram, which is such a big platform, it really is the highlight reel for everybody. And I think Facebook, I kind of still is because it's an older platform. Not many people, especially younger people, use it anymore. I don't really use Facebook, but that's kind of where people go to complain. And then Instagram is like your highlight reel. But there's no space for you to just be honest. It's not that I want to complain, but this is what I'm going through and I'm not asking for sympathy. And so you just keep that stuff to yourself and no one knows. And then you're ashamed to even admit it to yourself. So you're not going to get any help. And so you can't work through it. And so you're just stuck in this situation, not doing anything about it. And that's the space that I was in. I felt really stuck and unhappy and I didn't really like my life. I didn't like how I was talking to myself. I didn't like how I felt. You know, I just was never satisfied no matter what I accomplished, even though I'd posted and be like, look at this. It would, within minutes, or maybe if I was lucky a day, it would dissipate. And then I'd be like, now what? You got to do something next. What's the next thing you're going to do? Or, well, that's in the past. Like, you know, people are scrolling. They're done with your thing. So you need to think of something new. And you can never just be satisfied by something you did. And so one thing I'm trying really hard to do is savor this moment because this is a bucket list thing that I have a book. I worked on it for 2 years. It's the most vulnerable, honest thing I think I've ever written. And of course, I would love for it to be a bestseller and all these kind of things. I honestly don't care. I'm just going to spend this year getting it into people's hands so they can read it and we can kind of connect in that way. But I'm just going to savor the moment because I never used to, never allowed myself to.
I also had to, with my book, I had to think about individuals. If there's somebody that this impacts, that this helps, just knowing. And by the way, your book already helped me because I'm like, I didn't know that Jessica had this type of self-talk. So my self-talk is I've met my match, but it is so helpful to know, and to your point, to be honest. What I like that you did at the beginning, you had to go through and you had to look at some of your relationships and go, are these relationships healthy? Talk to me about that because you had to back away from some people. And how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been good actually like picking men. I honestly have only dated 2 men, one of them being my husband, and he's a great guy, been together almost 18 years. But picking friends, I was just terrible at picking the right friends. Part of it is my own attachment style. Part of it is just getting stuck in certain cycles based off trauma and things like that. But I just was terrible at picking friends that would lift me up, that would like me just for me. I never felt like I was good enough, which played into other things I was already dealing with. And so it really wasn't until I started doing, more therapy and personal growth that I recognized that I need to stop picking the same types of people. I'm very good at that now, recognizing there's certain energies I'm really attracted to, and I always get burned. And I still learn those lessons sometimes because I always want to give people a chance. But there's something that I needed to really, work through. And because of some of those experiences, at a certain point, I just kind of shut my walls and kind of put up the drawbridge and said, fine, no more. I'm just not going to be open to anybody. I don't want to get hurt anymore. So I'm just going to have surface level friendships or just be very careful so keep my circle really small or just not let anyone in. And that was kind of my way of guarding and protecting myself. And when you do that, you're missing out on a lot of joy because the ways that actually make you happy, the biggest one, spoiler alert, is community and friendship and being around people. And I completely blocked myself off from that. So I look back and like, oh, wow, I really, missed out on maybe creating deeper relationships. That's something that I've been working on the past 2 years, and I feel really good about it. But I wasted a lot of time not doing that.
It's so interesting. Last year, I have a friend that every time I would ask him for help, it's always negative. And I
Yeah.
realized that I never feel more confident when I ask this person for help.
Hmm.
I always feel less confident. And then I
Mhm.
realized that it truly had more to do with that person than with me.
Yeah.
But I live off confidence. Like for me, if I'm confident, I will go do something. If I'm not confident, I'll go study it for 10 days and I'll never do anything.
Yeah.
And so shutting that relationship, not all relationships, because man, when I saw that in your book, I was like, oh man,
Yeah, that was a bit extreme. Wouldn't recommend.
I'm
Don't do
going to
that.
shut it all down. But I do have to say, going through and selectively going, you know what? I'm going to be friends with this person. I'm just not going to ask them for advice anymore. Because every
Yeah.
time I ask them for advice, I never get anything that
Mhm.
truly, I mean, might be good for some people, but for me, I always feel less than I was.
Yeah.
Speaking of, by the way, taking control, you have this client early on in your work that you call Rhea.
Mhm.
Can you tell us Rhea's story? Because I think this is good for where we're going today.
Yeah, so she was one of my first one-on-one financial counseling clients. Such an inspiration because she was able to make such progress. But I didn't realize at the time that I saw myself in her. And that's probably why I was so attached to her and probably spent way more time than I should have for free working with her. But I recognized that she had the same patterns of negative self-talk and didn't think she was good enough. And she used money in a way partly to self-soothe, but also to do things so she could get things that she was lacking, such as she wanted the attention and love and care. She just wanted to be seen and heard by her family and friends. That's why she got into debt. And that's why she had a spending problem. That's why she also maybe didn't take as many risks as she could have with her career to make more money because she didn't think she was good enough. It was interesting when we were initially working together. She just wanted to pay off her debt and curb her spending. But what we recognized was there's something deeper going on. And that was really the kind of catalyst for me doing this book is this was one person. And then I got to interview a ton more people. And I since then worked with a ton more clients. All of them have a story. They all have a particular money narrative. They all do things with money that may not, they're not being served by this and they need to change, but they don't know how to change because, again, a lot of the information when you're looking for solutions are practical how-to money things. But it's like, well, this is actually not a money issue. There's
Sure.
something else going on under the surface that if we can fix that, then it'll be a lot easier to stick with your budget, to not want to spend money in that way, to take risks that are calculated so you can improve your financial life.
Yeah, Rhea's working on everybody but Rhea.
Yeah, she was definitely that people pleaser. And I think maybe we've been like that, or we know someone like that, that put everyone but themselves first. I really like the analogy of like you're on the airplane, you have to put your mask on first before helping someone else. I don't think a lot of us, especially women, we were always told to help first and then us. Because we saw that, like I saw that with my grandmas. They would always be the last to eat dinner, always cleaning up after everyone, and never took care of themselves because they're taking care of everyone else. We need to take care of ourselves so we can better help others.
Somebody pointed this out the other day. You and your husband go over to somebody's house, let's say for dinner.
Mhm.
Women generally offer to help out
Yeah.
with whatever's going on. The dudes go out in the other room.
Mhm.
It's the way we've always, dudes go watch TV.
Yeah, we're just replicating what we saw with our parents and our grandparents.
Yeah, but it is wild how we don't think through all that stuff. And it's funny how much this is a 1-2 punch. We just talked to Anthony O'Neill a couple of weeks ago about getting your seat at the table and taking care of you. If you start off with your email first at the beginning of the day, you're taking care of everybody but you. You got to take
Yeah.
care of what is going to move you forward first. And such an important thing.
Yeah.
You list as one of the first things we need to do as we're unpacking really our money story is to get it down in writing.
Mhm.
Why is it so important that we put a name on this battle that we're having?
So there's a couple things that I talk about. First is labeling how you feel with money, because most of us have never been asked, how does money make you feel? So that's important, but it's also important to put that into words, because when you label something, when you give it words, it gives it power. It gives it some weight to it that I think normally we'd probably brush on the rug. And so we really need to.
There's even a science to it in your brain, you point out. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have some case studies and research that shows that there's science behind it, how it really impacts you putting a label on your emotion. It just makes it more real, I think. And so we go through all the different, not all of the different emotions, but some of the most common ones, such as shame, guilt, anxiety, envy, despair, things like that. I got lots of those words from doing a survey with my audience to find out, how does money make you feel? And those words kept on coming up. And so it's important to see where you fit in. I give a lot of real life examples of this is how shame can show up in your life in this way. And it's not just about, being growing up with no money and having shame about that. If you grew up with money, there may be shame associated with that. So no matter how you grew up or how much money you have now, you may still have envy or guilt or all those kinds of things. So it's important to give that a name. And then the other part of it is, once we figure that out, we need to do some digging to find out, okay, where do our beliefs, our values, our feelings, all of those things stem from? What's our kind of money origin story? And so I go through an exercise that's all about helping you elicit your first money memory. And I think that's really interesting because that might be the first time that emotion, that feeling will have showed up in your life, and how that connected with money and then still is connected with money in adulthood. And I give an example of myself being a kid, stealing a gumball, being called out for that from my mom, fair enough, and feeling ashamed about it. And shame has always been a very big part of my money story. And so I'm like, oh, there's the connection. And so getting you to do the same may give you some aha moments.
What's wild about your story, so you're in the bulk food section, because you're looking at like this Willy Wonka world of just stuff. And your mom, I guess she turned her back. And so you grab like a blue gumball.
Yep.
You would have gotten away with it if it wasn't blue, I think, because your
Probably.
mouth is full of this blue. All of a sudden, how old? You said you thought you were maybe 4 years old?
I was like 4. I was like really young to not quite know that stealing was bad. I knew it was sort of bad, but I was testing. I'm like, I don't know. Is it really that bad?
Yeah.
That's how young I was. Yeah.
Well, and you said, you're like, I had seen adults go by. God, my father-in-law would do this all the time. He tests out the grapes, right?
Yeah.
Just goes and has a grape or two. You see people in the, just pop a thing or two in their mouth. So you do it. What was wild to me, though, was how you identified that it wasn't shame on one level. Like there's you being ashamed and learning from your mom that you need to be ashamed. But really the shame that your mom kind of taught you, you're bringing to the whole family if you effed it up.
Yeah. I did the exercise myself so I can elicit that memory. And the feelings that came up was shame for stealing. That's shameful. But also the feeling of, we don't want to look like we can't afford that. And the only way we can get it is to resort to stealing. We can afford it. We don't have a lot of money, but we only buy things that we can afford. And so looking like we're stealing and we're doing something that's outside of our narrative, it's a bad look. We don't want to do that. And so I was ashamed of making my family feel bad or look bad in front of all of our peers in the 90s. And so there's a lot of different levels that you may kind of discover. You may have one feeling that may come up in a bunch of different ways.
I had a couple of early memories that really affected me when I started making money. And it was in my family, a lot of people hadn't made a lot of money. And it was kind of shame that you were making money, that, who do you think you are, Mr. Uppity?
Yeah. You think you're better than me or what?
Yeah.
Or, like you think you're hot now? I don't know. Yeah. 100%. That's the common one I hear often. Yeah.
What do you do with this once you unpack it? Once you put a name to it and you kind of identify with it, what do we do next?
You want to find out what are the things, especially when you've written it down where did this come from? What were the things I learned directly or indirectly from my caregivers? And then you want to be able to take a step back and see, what are the things that are holding me back and not serving me? And what are the things that are helpful? And I will continue with that. I learned a lot of amazing things, especially from my mom, who was like the family money manager, about spending within your means, don't get into debt, all these things that have very much helped me with my money growing up. But there's a lot of other things that I adopted from her, but also from my grandparents and just greater family that they don't serve me anymore, such as aversion to risk taking and only investing in really conservative investments because they have certain traumas from their past that made sense to only keep it in cash or very conservative investments, that if I were to follow suit, I'd be in a worse financial position. So I'm like, I need to leave that and realize that risk does not mean you're putting all your chips at the casino. It's being calculated and having a strategy and knowing what you're doing. So I need to take risks with my investments, but also my career. Like I got a lot of flack, or not flack, I would say, but a lot of questions about, are you sure this is the right choice when I decide to leave my job? I used to work in marketing for a big corporation and decided to go off on my own 8 years ago now. So it seems like forever ago. But when I decided to quit, everyone's like, are you sure? Like, that seems really scary and dangerous. What if you can't make any money and there's all these dangers. But for me, it was, again, a calculated risk. And I knew there was a plan B and C if this didn't work out. But if I hadn't made that choice, I'm in a much better financial position, make way more money than I ever did working for someone else. So I had to learn along the way, and learned a lot more while going through this book, but along the way of what things are serving me and which ones do I have to leave and just rebel against.
I love that. Then when things occur, you know the signs,
Yeah.
and it makes it easier. It's like these signposts along the way. You're like, hey, yeah, don't need to go down that road again. And then your natural reaction too to things that you got from your parents about, oh no, we can't afford it.
Oh yeah, there's still that thing. Honestly, I've been buying some more clothes over the past couple weeks. And every time I like go to buy something that I know I can afford, there is that little voice inside me being like, are you sure it's not on sale? You sure you want to do that? You sure you don't want to wait until, but I'm like, if I wait, then I won't have it and I need it and I can afford it. So why do I feel guilty for buying something that is absolutely fine? It's just it's still in there, but now I'm more aware of it and then I do it anyway. Well, I'm buying it.
Actually, it's funny. I had to learn this from our friend Paula Pant, where she's like, my goal in life was to get to the point that I don't care about the sale, to have enough money that if I need it, I get it. And then that gives her confidence.
Yeah.
You know, that she's like, yeah, I'm not going to wait for the sale. I'm going to buy it because I want it now and I can afford it. Like I
haven't reached that level. That's some mind shift. I'm still, I don't know. I think part of it is because I learned that you were kind of a sucker for buying it not on sale because you know it's already marked up.
Yes.
So it's like, who cares if you can afford it? It
I know.
doesn't matter. Buy it.
I know that's somebody else's game. And hey, if I help them, that's fine. That's great. You know, I gave them a little more profit and I could afford to do that. So that's also makes me feel good if I look at it differently. I want to kind of end here because a lot of people don't know exactly what we're talking about when we talk about putting this down. And this is a great way to start your year. So on 2025, you can identify these things when you see them come up. But let's start. So I feel like these are Dante's 7 deadly sins, by the way. Right? It's like the 7 layers of hell, all of these. But it's interesting how, as I was walking through these, it isn't about what happened to you. It's about how you respond to it is what each of these are. Yeah.
So one thing that I talk about, and I often see the tone or the messaging from some, I call them like curmudgeons, basically with a microphone. These kind of experts out there that have been around for a while, and they use things like shame and judgment as a means to motivate you to change your habits. I don't find that. Negative motivation is only helpful for such a short amount of time. We need positive motivation. It's not about victimizing yourself or using your situation, what happened to you, as an excuse. It's an explanation. We just need answers. That's what people want. We want answers on why am I still doing this when I know better? I know better and I just can't help myself. There's something else going on that we need to figure out. This is what's pushing you into this way, or this is what keeps triggering you, and you don't have tools to do the opposite or to go against what you think is your instinct, but it's not really your instinct.
I love your rant. You've got a huge rant for people that haven't read the book yet. You've got a huge rant about empathy.
I do.
About, you know what? I'm sick of people just bitching each other online when you don't know the whole situation. Like, we just need to have a little bit of empathy. I swear to God, I say that every day when I jump on, well, Facebook especially.
Oh, yeah.
But when I jump online, I'm like, and you read the comments of any of these things and you're like,
it's insane what people will say anonymously online, but you're like, you are talking to a real person. I mean, probably.
It just drives me crazy.
Yeah, especially like I don't go on Reddit for a reason. People are people are nasty. People can be helpful, but also a little too honest.
I learned that a long time ago. I lurk. I will read, but
I read. I do not post anything.
No.
I don't want them to know I'm there.
Yeah. Redditors, I'm there, but I'm not there. The shame. Let's talk about shame because there's the shame of growing up with less. I think we've all seen that around if it's not us. But there's also the shame of growing up richer than everyone else. The fact that you're the person that has more, or the shame of being, I actually had this one, the shame of being the poorest rich kid. Like you're parsing these things, but this was truly me. I went to this Catholic college prep high school that was really highly regarded in the area. I was a kid from a middle-class family. I would go to events at people's houses. Jessica, their houses had names.
Oh, that's when you know you're rich.
Yes.
They have a name. Yeah.
My house didn't have a name. My street had a name, but our house didn't have a name. the shame of not having earned your own wealth,
Yeah.
the shame that I'm falling behind. This is the New Year's Day thing that you and I do. And then you go into guilt, the rational guilt, spending more than you're earning, consistently over budget, spending money to sell soup because you're exhausted, hungry, stressed, sad, jealous, or angry, not saving for retirement. But then there's these irrational guilts. Why do we have the irrational guilts? Because you see these all the time too.
Yeah. So like the rational guilt, like that's actually a helpful. These feelings are not bad. They're actually helpful. That's why they exist. They're telling you something. And so guilt can help you change your behavior for a good reason. But there's also a rational guilt where you feel guilty for no reason. I mean, I talked about how I grew up Catholic, and that was one of the things that we learned early on. We feel guilty about everything all the time for no reason.
Maybe that's why we're ninjas at this.
Maybe that's why there's some of that connection. You're like, oh, I just feel bad about everything all the time. Does not everyone else feel like that? No, my husband's like, no, that's not normal. Like buying something that is not on sale, that's irrational. That doesn't change anything. It's not hurting anyone. It doesn't make any sense. That is irrational. So we need to recognize what are some of the things that we feel guilty about that are completely irrational. So we can also like write those down to be like, yeah, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't make someone feel bad for doing that. So why would I make myself feel bad for that? And we need to leave that there and stop doing that. And it's a practice. You have to remind yourself, no, this is okay. This is fine. We know it's fine. This is an irrational thought. We need to just get it out of here.
Oh, yeah. Some of the irrational ones that I've seen in my life that you kind of point out, we don't celebrate things because we're afraid of how it will impact other people. So I don't want to celebrate wins. Or, you know, the 1 year more syndrome. You see people in the working world, older people that are getting ready to retire. I'm going to work one more year because I irrationally just, God knows they're not making more time.
Yeah, you know? I know.
I only have so much more time and I'm going to stay on it. Some of the others you have fear, again, rational and irrational fear, anxiety, envy, despair. And this is, as you pointed out, just the beginning. But I love the idea here early in the year, stackers. Get it out in the open, identify what it is. So as you're chasing those goals this year and along the way, that you know what those things are that are going to cross you up. The book is called Everything But Money, because it truly is about everything but money, the hidden barriers between you and financial freedom. It's available everywhere, I think.
It is in the US, Canada, worldwide. You can find easy links at jessicamoorhouse.com/book, but in the US, it's available, you know, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, wherever. And Canada, Indigo is our big bookstore here. So check it out.
I will, by the way, link to the website because I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you what the heck's coming up next on the More Money Show.
Listen, okay, I don't know. I love you're like, what's next? You're like, I literally just put out a book. Give me a minute to breathe. No, I'm continuing. I'm doing season 20. I did not do a pause at all from last season to this season. And so what we've got looking forward this year is the first couple weeks, I'm releasing excerpts from the book. So reading it out so you get a little taste of the audiobook.
Sweet.
And then doing a bit of a re-listen, some of my top and favorite episodes from the past 10 years, because June, it'll be 10 years since I started my show. And then I'm going to sprinkle in a few new interviews with guests as well. So that's what's happening now. Season 20.
10 years. Doesn't it feel wild that we've been doing it this long, Jessica?
Yeah, I was 28 when I started, I guess, or 29. Yeah, and I don't want to think about it.
And you're still 29.
Wait. How old am I?
How are you still 29 today?
How am I still 29?
How does that happen? Jessica, great seeing you. Thanks for being our mentor today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today's a great day in history because way back in 1949, Kansas-born actress and banker Georgia Niece Clark Gray became the first woman to, well, you know what? Let's make that the question. Besides becoming the first woman to have 4 names on her checking account, she became the first woman to do what banking feat that had never previously been achieved by a woman? I'll be right back after I raid Joe's mom's purse for all the dollar bills to see whose name's on them.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Purse Inspector and guy who just got his hand slapped, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. What a misunderstanding. All I wanted to do was see whose name appeared on all the bills in Joe's mom's purse. And, well, I thought that might be easier to do if they went in my pocket and I took them out to the El Camino where the light was better. It was a big misunderstanding. I had no idea that the same name might be on $100 bills as maybe a 20, which is why I took samples of each. But one name that didn't appear on them was Georgia Niece Clark Gray. But they used to be. Gray had been an actress on stage working with the great Charlie Chaplin and others before the talkie movies cut short her career. Luckily, she could fall back on her banking experience enough that Georgia became the first woman in history to be the Treasurer of the United States.
Oh.
And there you have it. I know, right? Let's get back to Joe and OG.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, how come we don't know her name more? Her names, plural.
Because you got to take a break halfway through saying her name. Said the guy with 3 names. I'm like, oh my goodness, 4. I can't.
And there's no hyphens in there. It's very like, which one do I emphasize? Georgia Niece Clark Gray.
You can tell you're really bored, by the way, when you're looking at the names on your dollar bill.
Yeah.
Oh, look, somebody signed this.
That's when you forgot to take your phone to the bathroom. When you're reading names on the bills, man, you are out of material.
There's an eye on the top of this pyramid. What is this all about? It's the Illuminati. Big thanks to Jessica, and obviously so much going on with our money. And that's why we paired it nicely today, like a fine Chardonnay. This headline.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Our headline today comes to us from USA Today. What's a no-buy list?
Yeah, I don't have one of those.
Greta Cross writes, do you have a no-buy list for 2025? One creator said it helped her pay off $34,000 in debt. You know, it's interesting. This morning at the gym, I will often gamify my workout just to make sure that I can get through it, right? And so often when we turn these things into a game, we're much more likely to get some of these goals that we didn't think that we could get.
Doug, can you picture Joe at the bench press going, look sexier than OG, look sexier than OG, look sexier than OG. And it's like, this trainer's like, it's not possible, dude, but keep pumping. Good job. 2 more reps.
I don't know that I've ever said that, but
because you've never been on a bench press.
Yeah.
But he has.
You can imagine what it'd be like.
Anyway, this piece writes, if you write out New Year's resolutions
but
or
on the
goals,
Buttmaster 3000, then you're totally like, look sexier than OG.
Saving
high
money
cut leotard
may be at the top of your list. New social media trend encouraging goal setters to be more rigorous when it comes to putting away their wallets. I don't really care about the social media trend. I do like, OG, the idea, though, of gamifying some of your money habits.
I was thinking, just as you read this headline, the thing that popped in my mind was there's a real famous book a couple of years ago written by personality. His name is Peter Attia. He's a physician. He's got a podcast and kind of a wellness, health, longevity type guy. And his book is called Outlive, and it's actually pretty good. One of the things he talks about in there in terms of eating healthy is there's really only 3 things that you can do. You can have calorie restriction, you can have time restriction, or you can have thing restriction, which is ipso facto calorie restriction. And he's like, and most of the time you should have like 2 of those, right? So you should say, like, for example, I'm only going to eat 1,500 calories, and I'm only going to eat between the hours of 11 and 7 p.m. or whatever, right? Or I'm not going to eat any processed carbohydrates, that's thing restriction, and I'm only going to consume my meal, in the afternoon or something, whatever. And by doing those things, you're focusing on the thing that really matters, right? Which is calories in, calories out in some level, and giving your body time to kind of process it and energize and all that sort of stuff. I was thinking about the concept of a no-buy list in the sense of that's like a thing restriction, right? That's like somebody saying, I don't want to eat white bread this year or this month, or I'm not going to eat pasta. You're not saying I'm not going to eat pasta for the rest of my life. You're just saying for this period of time, I want to focus on, I know that's an empty calorie. I know that's really not going to help me reach my health goals. So for this period of time, I'm not going to really track anything else. I'm just not going to eat pasta. And if I don't eat pasta, I'm likely to have that calorie restriction that leads me to, whatever. And honestly, we've thought about this. I've thought about this with my obsessive compulsive wine buying habit. And I start the year anew and I think, okay, this is the year. I'm not going to buy any wine this year. And I might not. I'm a month in and I haven't bought any yet. So I'm 1/12 of the way there.
Are you 1/12 of the way through your non-wine buying?
Yeah. But it's like Marriott points or Amex points, right? Like, what's the point of having 1 million of those things? Like, they become worth less as time goes on, right? Because Marriott says, hey, you want to stay in that hotel? It's 20,000 points a night. And then next year they go, it's 25,000 points.
24, yeah.
Yeah. It's like they don't give you interest on your points. So unless you have a specific thing use for it, there's no significant reason to just sit it and accumulate it. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's got a basement full of wine. And he's like, I could honestly drink a bottle of wine a day for the rest of my life and still have wine left over. Yet I keep buying it. And you go, to what end? That kind of hit me. Like
sweet buzz. That's what the end is.
Yeah, well, sure. But wouldn't you be good enough to stop buying it at that point? It's almost like being, coast-fi with wine.
There's the next conference.
Like, you're good, right? Until you consume all this stuff. I mean, if it takes, we have piles of it. I'm using this from my own perspective here. We have a bunch of it, and it's like, if we just drank it at a normal pace, it's like it's going to take us years to get through it anyway. And the stuff that I'm hanging on to will be great in 5 years. Like, why? Anyway.
Well, sometimes with these collections too, the buying becomes the compulsion.
Yeah.
Just there's a new year of X out. I really need one of those. I got to try.
Yeah.
I got to try out the new vintage. I got to try out the new thing. It's the same thing with my board game crack addiction. It's like, I heard about this new game. I gotta get that.
Someone who's made a new game, and I like their old game, so I'll probably like their new game.
Yeah.
I should get it.
Yeah. And then I look at my closet and I'm like, why would I? Again, I could play a board game
a day
with your. We could combine these two. We could have all of your wine for the rest of forever, all my board games for the rest of forever.
This smacks to me of your love of focus on the process and not the results. I'm less like that. I'm more focused on the results, and I'm a little less concerned about the specific process steps. I see the merit of both, but it seems to me that if you made me think of this, OG, when you talked about, I'm not going to eat processed carbohydrates today. I just need to get through one day. And if I can do that, and then I can do it again the next day. It's more, if you focus on the process, you'll eventually get that result that you're looking for. And it's a lot easier to think about that than this big, huge, unattainable thing of, I need to, save $3 million. So I get
the
it.
thing is you can't see, we've talked about this before, but I had another aha moment on this a week ago. You can't see compounding in advance. You can't believe that it's going to happen because our brains just don't work that way. Yet you see it in the rearview mirror all the time. But even though you see it in the rearview mirror, you won't believe that it'll happen again, right? Using your $3 million example, Doug, you watched your money go from $1.5 million to 3. You went, okay, yeah, it doubled. And I get the concept of it doubling. I just don't believe it's going to happen again in my lifetime. I get that it happened. I just don't think it's going to happen again. And most of that is because our brains just can't process that. And I was sitting in the pool a couple of weeks ago. Wife and I went on a little trip. I was reflecting on the fact that around Thanksgiving, I thought, hey, we've got this beach trip coming up. I probably ought to tighten a little for the pool just to have some self-confidence. And then you look into the future.
So you can look as good as me while you're on the bench press going, I wish I looked as good as Joe.
Sitting there on the bench press going, look as sexy as Joe. But it was around Thanksgiving, and I remember thinking like, oh, that's like 10 weeks from now. Like, you know how much commitment it takes to be healthy for 10 weeks? My God. During the holidays, are you crazy, right? And then you get there and you look back and you go, that was just 10 weeks ago. That wasn't that long ago. Like Thanksgiving was just, a few weeks. It wasn't even that long ago. Like I can remember what was for dinner. But into the future, when you look into the future right now and you say, it's the 1st of February.
Weeks.
Yeah, it's the 1st of February. It's gonna be bathing suit season in the Northern Hemisphere pretty soon. I better tighten. You go, that's 10 weeks away. That's 15 weeks. That's a long time. But when you get there in the summer from now, you're gonna look back and go, like, oh, I could have done
10
that.
weeks back was mid-November, which feels like yesterday. 10 weeks forward is mid-April, which feels like forever to go. And it's the same amount of time.
Yeah. And when you get to it, you're going to go, oh, I could have done that.
Yeah. And this idea of gamifying it and taking it one day at a time. I mean, I like your Peter Attia analogy where, you know what, I'm not going to focus on everything. I'm just going to say pasta because that's going to cover 70% of it. Like it really makes it fun. This woman, Alicia Berman, she's 35 years old, tried this no buy challenge in 2024. It helped her pay off $34,000 in credit card debt, just turning it into a game. I'm just going to stop doing this one thing. Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny is when you start these games, when you start these games, they feel hard, right? Because it's all you think about. Like, don't think about elephants. Well, I wasn't thinking about elephants till you said, don't think about elephants. And now I'm thinking about, I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy this. But when you successfully do it for a few days in a row, now it becomes your brain gets on board. When I've done this in the past and you go, oh, let's see if I can keep this up. It's like my running challenge that I did for several years in a row. I'm going to run a mile a day for almost 4 years. And every day it became, let's see if I can just do one more day, if I can keep this thing going. I think it was like that building milestones when it comes to reaching my goals, like these big goals. Everybody looks at these big goals. I need $2 million. I need X amount of money. I saw a woman yesterday, by the way, who said she retired at 56 years old with $500,000. She's got a huge YouTube channel talking about how she did that. I'm like, well, this is great now. I can't wait to see what it's like when she said, this is how I ran out of money.
Well, it's all about spending, right? I mean, if she's got $500,000 and a $3,000 a month pension or a social media platform that produces a few $1,000 a month of income.
If she's got if you form a YouTube channel, tell everybody how you did it, you are able to breach the gap. But instead of looking at $2 million or $1 million, looking at where do I need to be by June of this year?
Right.
And then the delta is so much smaller. And you're like, oh, I can reach that. Again, this compounding number that you talk about, OG, it looks impossible. And yet, if I just look at what I need to do to get that compounding number by June of this year, I can easily do that. Gamification for the win. Let's link to this on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com. Also, you know what, stackers, I'd love to hear from you in our Facebook group, The Basement. Let's challenge each other. What are you going to do? What type of no spend challenge would you like to do? Or maybe it's not a no spend challenge. Maybe it's some other type of challenge. Let's talk about it in our Facebook group, The Basement.
The other thing I'd love to hear about is not just what you're challenging yourself with to not spend on or, whatever that specific thing is, but how you're doing it. Like what unique ways are you finding to prevent yourself from whatever it is? Because that's the tough part. It's not that we all have the thing we need to stop buying wine, but it's how do you restrict yourself? And I think that's what I'd personally be more interested in learning about.
Yeah. stackingbenjamins.com/basement is the link to our Facebook group, or just go to Facebook in the search engine, put in Stacking Benjamin's Basement. Let's challenge each other. Let's hold each other accountable. That'll be fun. Also, we're going to dive more into this and more topics in the 201, our newsletter. To get the newsletter, it's free, comes out once a week, stackingbenjamins.com/201 for that. Doug, time for us to wander out to the back porch, man. I've got one thing myself for the back porch. We figured out where the Seattle meetup is. I don't know if you guys figured out where the meetup's going to be around Heavenly, but
we have a date and a time, and working on the location. If we can just pull it off at the kind of hotel-ish area that Doug and I are staying at.
Excellent. For the Seattle meetup, we'll actually be in Bellevue, which is where the Retire Meet conference is going to be held. It's at Tapster Bellevue. That's Thursday, February 6th, 6:30 p.m. Come join me and other like-minded individuals. We always have so much fun in the Seattle area. To make sure that we tell Tapster that you're going to be there and we have a big enough area, head to stackingbenjamins.com/meetup and then click the button to reserve your spot. Of course, we're going to have a great time. Should be a lot of fun seeing people on Thursday, February 6th in Bellevue. And OG for our Heavenly meetup.
Yep. So Doug and I will be in Heavenly. We have a big corporate retreat that we're doing. Have to say that so that the trip is deductible.
Big Stacking Benjamin's corporate retreat.
Yes.
Finally getting my bonus.
Yes. Finally, corporate retreat. We are going to be
get a mug.
Yeah, I did get a mug. We're going to be in Heavenly for the week after President's Day. So President's Day is February the 17th. Doug and I will be out there on the 18th, and we're going to meet up with anybody who wants to meet up on the 19th. So that's a Wednesday. We're thinking 6 to 8 local time, and we just have to find the location. So I'm not sure if the place that we have has a après-ski vibe. I don't think it does. I think it's more of a, sleeping
I don't think it does either.
Thing.
But you know what's, and we've got a couple of stackers I noticed in the basement who have already said, "Oh, I used to ski at Heavenly all the time." So if you've got some thoughts, chime in. But right now, I see right up the street, OG, is McPee's Tap House. That's an Irish pub. That's got strong possibilities. So that's a leading candidate in the clubhouse right now.
We'll find a place and put it online. I think Tina can probably do that for us, right?
She can. That'll also be at stackingbenjamins.com/meetup. You'll see that also links to our monthly meetup of our Stacking Benjamins group in the Twin Cities. So if you're in Minneapolis, St. Paul, every month, a bunch of stackers gets together there. They have a great time. They did ugly sweater and axe throwing as a Christmas party.
At the ugly sweaters?
Yeah.
I don't understand how you combine the axe throwing and the ugly sweaters.
Well, luckily, I heard the secondhand. I couldn't make it, but I heard that they didn't throw the axes at each other, which was great. It's always
step up.
Always a nice
Unlike
perk.
us.
All right. I think that does it for the back porch. Doug, you got it from here, man. What should we have learned on today's podcast?
Well, Joe, here's what's stacked up on our to-do list for today. First, take some advice from Jessica Moorhouse. Worried about your spending, saving, or financial controls? Look beyond the dollars and cents for the real truth about how your habits have materialized. Second, a no-buy challenge? What will you forego in 2025? But the big lesson? Don't ask Joe's mom about a no-buy challenge idea. She says she's going to avoid buying anything to do with those chocolate chip cookies I love, the ones with the M&Ms in them. This doesn't have to be punitive, Ma. How come I'm paying for your no-buy challenge? Thanks to Jessica Moorhouse for joining us today. You'll find Jessica's book, Everything But Money, wherever books are sold. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Just had to say that different. I get so bored saying at stackingbenjamins.com, so I'm just going to switch it up a little bit. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2025, and is created by Joe Saul Seahive. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com. Along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm not doing an intro. I'm totally protesting this. I got no mug.
Well, this is a pleasant surprise. Doug, you and I watched a show that is all the rage. OG, have you watched American Primeval yet?
I never heard of it.
It's your show. This is a show for you.
Let's give you a little preview. Okay.
That's the preview.
This is what I get for not watching it ahead of time.
I do like the rendition of Glory, Hallelujah.
Oh, they do that a lot. The whole last episode, I don't know if you noticed this, Doug, but in the background, the music was America the Beautiful.
Yeah.
They kept playing it in the background over and over and over as stuff was happening. So this is a series on Netflix bringing together 3 groups of people. The first group is the American military. The second group is the Mormons, led by the new governor of the Utah Territory, Brigham Young. And then the third group is the Native Americans, mostly the Shoshone, but there's other groups. Of course, there is a fourth fringe group, which is just regular people settling. And that's who the story kind of uses to focus on when you look at this clash of the Mormons trying to protect their territory, protect their lifestyle, protect themselves. The Shoshone trying to protect themselves, protect their lifestyle, protect everything that they've got going on. And the military trying to ensure law and order in this lawless place.
That fourth group you mentioned, Joe, they last about 12 minutes into the first episode.
They are cannon fodder.
Yes.
The entire episode. By the way, the events of this episode and a lot of the people in this episode are true life characters, very fictionalized. The whole thing is 100% fiction, but it's interesting when you dig into the history of this. The massacre that occurred really happened. It didn't happen at all like what they depicted in this film. And I call it a film because even though it's 6 35 to 55 minute episodes, it truly is like a 5-hour movie is what you're really watching.
I agree.
And it starts off with this woman and her son who are coming ostensibly to meet the boy's dad in this town. Winter is coming. Sounds like Game of Thrones. Winter is coming, but winter is coming. And everybody's like, you shouldn't go because winter's coming. And they're trying to make it. And everybody's telling her not to go. And then you find out more about the woman. You find out more about what's really going on. And then you find out more about all the characters, some of which begin as unsympathetic and then become sympathetic. Others begin as sympathetic, then are unsympathetic. The way you feel about people throughout these 6 episodes changes a ton. I don't know, Doug, what else should we say about it before we get into whether we liked it or not, like describing it?
I would say it is dark visually.
Is this a contemporary piece, like a futuristic, like What If, or is this a historical?
This is a Western set.
It's a Western.
This is a Western set as we're breaking into the West.
So it's roughly the 1850s, 1860s that we're looking at that period.
It's dark and intense.
And by the way, by dark, Doug doesn't say that dark enough. Like if you think dark, go like 8 degrees darker, and then you're probably there.
Right. But you know what? I mean, I would say even my wife liked this, even though it is dark and intense and there are some definite mature scenes of gore and killing in this. Somehow it is still very watchable. It's not, I wouldn't say it is, people are going to laugh or choke when I say this. It didn't seem gratuitous to me in most cases. It seemed necessary for the overall vibe of the film, as you say, Joe. Musically, it's dark. I mean, you'll notice like by the end of the first episode or two, there has been this deep bass line thumping or drums thumping in the background for most of the first 2 hours you watch this thing. It just gives you this weight as you're watching it.
The last episode, Doug, when they're playing America the Beautiful while nothing beautiful is happening.
Yeah.
Like the juxtaposition of the music, this beautiful, beautiful music, and the horrible crap happening.
Yeah.
You know, man's inhumanity to man.
But you care about the characters. I mean, you do get to care about each of the characters in ways you're not expecting that you would care about them. Or you'll start to hate characters you thought you liked at first, to your point a minute ago. And it just pulls you in. You want to know what happens next. It's beautiful to watch. It's great cinematography. This is probably one of my favorite things that I've watched in the last several years. And it reminds me of another show that listeners are tired of hearing me recommend called Godless. It's probably my favorite Western series I've watched.
I thought this was even darker than Godless.
It is a bit darker than Godless, but gosh, Godless opens with some pretty...
Godless, another fantastic Michelle Dockery, Jeff Bridges. Not Jeff Bridges, Jeff Daniels. Sorry.
Jeff Daniels, right.
Yeah. Every time Jeff Daniels gets on screen, you're sure somebody's going to die in Godless. And you know what's funny when you talk about it not being gratuitous violence? What I liked about the violence, which is a horrible phrase, what I liked about it,
the sentence you're not supposed to say.
But what I liked about it was, you know, when the stakes are high enough and the stage is set correctly, then you get this violence that I completely understand why it's happening.
Well,
and by the way, when violence happens, you can see it coming from a mile away because it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You're about to put these people together in a scene that, you know, when they get together, bad juju's going to happen. You know, you're like, I don't want to see this. I don't want this to happen, but what choice do we have? Oh my God. And how emotionally attached I was. There's a scene in maybe the fourth episode where the woman who is trying to get out west to meet the boy's father, she insists for the second time on doing something really stupid. And I am yelling at the screen.
God, yes.
And just the fact that I'm so emotionally involved that I'm yelling at the screen, I'm like, listen to Isaac. What the hell are you doing? Listen to Isaac. And she doesn't do it. And then it's funny later on when she mouths, I'm sorry to him. I laughed out loud. I was like, you're not sorry enough. You cannot be sorry enough.
Yeah. You know, and I'm glad you brought up her. This didn't dawn on me until probably 3/4 of the way through. This whole thing pivots around two very strong female characters. I mean, that could be a reason why my wife enjoyed it, and it's similar for Godless, but it is great to see two really strong female characters that most of the storyline pivots around, either directly because of them or indirectly. So, you know, I cared the least about probably was the kid. And I probably should have cared the most about the kid.
But I like the kid's relationship with the guide.
Yeah, sure.
I thought that was the storyline. The attachments, the pairings of people. I mean, the relationships between people. Jim Bridger in this story, I really like as a character.
I love that guy. That actor, the way he portrayed him was fantastic.
And the dude they got to play, Brigham Young, amazing, amazing actor.
Because he was like, you hated him.
You absolutely 100% hated him.
Oh, he was just gross.
Yeah, so absolutely ruthless. But then you think about the position that he's in, where he is trying to ensure their ability to continue as Mormons because everybody's trying to kill them. So he's doing this shady behind the back stuff, but in his head, it's all righteous because the ends justifies these horrible, horrible, horrible means. Darkness wise, by the way, I would put this on par with Peaky Blinders. I think it is Peaky Blinders, Peaky Blinders dark. So Cheryl got grossed out by Peaky Blinders, would not watch Peaky Blinders after the first couple of, she's like, it's just too dark. She, much like your spouse, Doug, made it all the way through this. And she said the longer it went, the more she liked it.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode, she didn't want to watch the second episode. She was that turned off. The second episode, she's like, okay, I'm in. And the third episode, she's like, oh, this just gets better. And at the end, but man, we got to the end and we turned it off. We're like, that's maybe the darkest shit we've ever watched. It's just so dark.
It was surprising. And I'm glad to hear you say that Cheryl had a similar response. I mean, my wife has a pretty strong bedtime. She sticks to her bedtime pretty closely within give or take 20 minutes. And I think we got through episode 4 and we were like 30 minutes away from her bedtime. And she wanted to watch the last 2 episodes. Like she was going to stay up for all of it. That's how much she had gotten pulled in. She didn't. I'm like, no, as your doctor, I need to advise you. That's not, because there was still like an hour and a half left. But yeah, that's how much she really liked it.
The body count in this movie is incredibly high. And what's funny is that, to your point, Doug, it's not the body count that I think about, you know, and it's not like I was reading somebody talking about, oh, Joe didn't like another Marvel movie, like somebody rolling their eyes at me. But I don't like the fact that it's just gratuitous violence and I don't care. Right. I cared every time there was violence.
I think that's well put and a good observation. I didn't really think of it that way, but they set the stakes up in a way that there might have been 1 or 2 scenes. Somebody listening to this is going to go watch it and say, are you kidding me? What about the scene with yeah, there might have been 1 or 2, but it doesn't stand out as I never like detached myself from the show to the point where I'm like, oh, come on. What did you do that for? That was, you know, because when I'm watching movies and I detach myself like that, that's the minute I'm out.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'll finish it, but because I'm so far into it, but that never happened to me in this show.
And that is to the person that, you know, rolled their, oh, Joe didn't like it. It's just that one thing. I need to care about what happens. And you're right. I'll watch the rest of the movie, but I'm like, oh yeah, no, I just, okay.
But it sounds like we both agree this is a show for OG. Like he will
100%.
He'll like this. Yeah.
The history in the show, even though it's fiction, I felt like the attention to detail in the show.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, you feel like they took a camera back in time.
Oh, it's incredible.
Intention. It is incredible.
And the beautiful shots, the gorgeous way that this was shot, like the cinematography. Yeah, it's just incredible. They paid attention to everything. I thought this was incredibly well done. By the way, one more thing, Doug, just for you. What did you think about the, I'm going to try to put this in a non-spoilery way. What did you think about the Romeo and Juliet kind of ending on one character's story arc?
I loved it. And I loved that they waited so long to make
that happen.
To not only make I'm glad they waited so long because if it had happened sooner, I probably would have rolled my eyes.
Yeah.
So I thought it was true to her character. And yeah, I can't think of any, there's probably one scene that's coming to my mind right now that I thought could have been removed. Didn't think it was super necessary, but when that little girl with the doll baited the group into their camp, that was the one I thought we probably could have done without this and it wouldn't have taken anything away from the show. But other than that, yeah, I'd watch it again. Honestly, it was that good.
That's interesting because I didn't think about that, but you're right. That had no bearing on anything at the end.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, I already felt like events were moving along.
Possibly. I mean, there was a scene where it showed, it added depth to her character for what she was willing to do for what she wanted to accomplish. Because she went, I would say, almost willingly.
Connection between the main characters as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you could, it would like, we were already headed there. They were already accomplishing that. I don't know that thing was necessary, but other than that, I can't think of too much I'd pull out.
Yeah. So there it is, Stackers, American Primeval. Doug and I apparently hated it.
I think you guys talked about that for longer than the show was.